Hello GPAT aspirants. Today we are going to discuss about a very important topic which is from physical pharmaceutics, and the name of the topic is suspensions. So now let's see what are the contents we are going to cover in this entire session. So we'll be dealing with the introduction of the suspensions, then what are their advantages and disadvantages. Further, we'll be learning various pharmaceutical applications of suspensions, then their classification. After that, we'll be dealing with certain desirable characteristics of suspensions which are needed to be understood. Then, we'll be learning interfacial properties of the suspended particles and then sedimentation of solid particles. So now let's begin with the introductory part. So here you can see there is a red question mark, and this question mark is asking you one question, that what are suspensions and why do we need these suspensions? So we see in our daily life we generally administer sometimes certain syrups orally, in which there is written that shake well before use. That means there is something within that syrup which have the tendency to settle down at the bottom of the bottle. So if we just shake that bottle, then the particles or that something which is settled in the bottle will get redispersed. So these are the suspensions. And now, why it is being written that shake well before use? Because those suspended particles or the particles which have been settled down in certain cases have the property to get to be the insoluble in that particular vehicle. So that's why it is written there, shake well before use. So for certain drugs which are insoluble in the aqueous vehicle, or the vehicle may be any of the type, so such drugs or the APIs or the therapeutic agents are required to be converted in the form of suspensions. So from this particular example, we can also define the suspensions. That what are these suspensions? These are actually the coarse dispersions in which the particles which are insoluble are being suspended in the vehicle. So now let's see a picture. This picture in front of you is having three beakers. The first beaker is representing the solution in which there is no visible particle. So it is a solution. Then coming to the second beaker, which is of suspension. So in this beaker, we can clearly see certain dotted points. These dotted points are the suspended particles. Now these particles are being suspended in the aqueous vehicle. They are far apart, they are not attracted towards each other, and they are truly suspended with a proper maintaining distance and in the Brownian motion. So that means they are randomly moving in the entire beaker. So this particular is the proper suspension. Now coming to the third beaker, in which the same particles are now being settled down, they are closer to each other, they are attracted towards each other, means they are like the flocks. So this is not a suspension, or rather we may say this might be a suspension in certain ages or in certain stages, but now the particles have been settled, so it is not a suspension, since the particles are not being suspended in the entire vehicle. So this is precipitation. So now let's discuss in detail that what are suspensions. So these are actually defined as the coarse dispersions in which certain finely divided insoluble material are being suspended in some liquid medium. Now usually what happens, we can take this liquid medium which can be a water based or aqueous based system. But in certain cases, this carrying vehicle can be a solid, liquid, or a gas. And sometimes in certain cases it can be a oily or an organic phase, but it depends on the condition and the situation and the type of the drug which we are going to suspend. Now, the most important question which might arise from this particular situation and which have been asked in the previous year questions in the GPAT, which is related to the size range of the suspended particles. So, here we can see that the suspended insoluble solid particles generally have a size range of about 10 to 1000 micrometer. So, this point is important to be remembered. Now, let's see what are the different advantages of this suspension. Means why we are going to prepare these suspensions. So, here we are going to get that answer. So, first of all, in the first point, we can clearly see these suspensions are used to improve the chemical stability of certain drugs like procaine penicillin G. This question can also be asked in the GPAT, like four options will be given of certain drugs, and the question might be framed as which of the following drug is converted into suspension to improve its chemical stability, or vice versa. The question can be asked by giving the name of the drug and giving four options related to the need of its formulating the suspension. So this is one of the advantages of the suspension. Another advantage of drug to be converted into suspension is that it increases the rate of bioavailability of a particular drug compared to the other dosage forms. Likewise, in the case of solutions, the bioavailability is higher because the particle size is smaller in the case of solution. Since particle size is smaller, then the surface area is higher, and if surface area is higher, then definitely it is going to get absorbed easily. Then after solution, the suspensions is having second higher rate of bioavailability compared to the rest of the dosage forms. Another advantage is that duration and onset of action can be easily controlled by formulating any suspension. For example, in the case of protamine zinc insulin suspension. Then suspensions are also sometimes formulated to mask the unpleasant or bitter taste of the drug. Likewise in the case of chloramphenicol. Now let's see what are the certain disadvantages of suspensions. So, since we know that suspensions consist of the insoluble suspended particles, but if that particular suspension is not formulated in a proper manner, then what might happen? Then definitely the suspended particles will tend to settle down. So, this arises a major problem in the case of suspensions, which is physical stability. So, physical stability, sedimentation, and then further compaction of those solid settled particles causes the major problem. Then, what happens? It is bulky sufficient, so there must be care taken during handling and transportation of the suspension. Since they have the problem of settling down, so it is also difficult to formulate them, right? And uniform and accurate dose cannot be achieved unless the suspensions are packed in the form of unit dosage form. So these are the certain disadvantages of suspensions. Now coming to the next topic, which is pharmaceutical applications of suspensions. So it is very clear that insoluble or poorly soluble drugs can be easily administered orally if they are being given or administered in the form of some liquid dosage form. And that liquid dosage form is what? It is suspension, right? So, especially in the case of pediatrics and geriatrics, this is very suitable to be given because they'll administer it without having any problem. Then, to overcome the instability of certain drugs in the case of aqueous solutions, certain derivatives can be formulated of those drugs to form a suspension. Like here, we have given the example of oxytetracycline. Oxytetracycline hydrochloride is unstable, but if it is converted into the calcium salt, it becomes stable. So, these examples stratify that the instability of the drugs can be easily overcome in the aqueous solution. Likewise, by reducing the contact time between the solid drug particles and dispersion medium, means we are here just reducing the contact angle by adopting some of the methodology that we'll be discussing later. So this increases the stability for the drugs like ampicillin by making it in the form of reconstituted powder. Then a drug that degraded in the presence of water can also be given in this form by what? By getting it converted or by suspending it in the non-aqueous vehicle. Likewise in the case of phenoxymethyl penicillin, or in the which can be suspended in the coconut oil, or tetracycline hydrochloride, which can be suspended in the again some oil. Then we have understood that it is completely used to mask the bitter taste of the drug. So we can take the example of chloramphenicol palmitate, right? And some materials are needed to be present as finely divided forms because the fine form increases the surface area. And again, the same logic applies over here, that increased surface area increase the absorption of the drug. And as soon as the absorption of the drug increases, the bioavailability of the drug increases, right? Or the therapeutic action of the drug enhances. So here we can take an example of magnesium carbonate and magnesium trisilicate. They're used to absorb some toxins when they're converted in the form of suspensions. Suspensions can also be used for topical applications like calamine lotion, which we generally see in our daily life. It is prepared in the form of suspension and it is very suitable for the skin. Now we can also prepare these suspensions for the parenteral administration, likewise in the case of intramuscular injections, to control the rate of absorption. Then in case of aerosols also, these suspensions are having active agents which can be mixed with propellant for enhancing the action of that particular active agent. Now let's see what is the classification of suspensions. So based on the general class, these suspensions are divided into three categories, that is oral suspension, externally applied suspension and parenteral suspension. Now based on the proportion of solid particles, that means how much amount of the insoluble particle is present in the aqueous vehicle. Based on that amount or the proportion, this is divided into two classes or in two categories, that is dilute suspensions, which is having concentration of 2 to 10% weight by volume of the insoluble solid. And another category is concentrated suspensions, which is having percentage of 50% weight by volume of the solid particles. Now, based on the electrokinetic nature of solid particles, they are divided into further two categories, that is flocculated suspension and deflocculated suspensions. Now, sometimes From flocculated and deflocculated suspensions, the questions have been asked in the GPAT. We'll see it in the later session. Now, based on the size of those suspended insoluble solid particles, they're further categorized into three categories, that is, colloidal suspensions, which is having size range less than 1 micron or 1 micrometer. Then, coarse suspensions, which are having size range greater than 1 micrometer. And nano suspensions, which are having size range of about 10 nanometer.